Welcome back to CTV News Channel. World leaders are reacting to the death of former Cuban President Fidel Castro. He died last night at the age of 90 following a long illness that led him to transfer power to his younger brother Raul in 2008. Cuban President Raul Castro announced Fidel Castro's death on state television last night. Juan Carlos Hidalgo is a policy analyst on Latin America at the Cato Institute. He joins us now this morning from Washington. Mr. Hidalgo, what are your thoughts this morning as you contemplate the passing of the former Cuban president?
Good morning. Well, this is an event that many people were expecting many years ago. There were lots of rumors for several years that he was very ill and that this could happen anytime. And now is a time for an honest assessment of what his legacy was, how he imprisoned millions of Cubans, how he deprived millions of Cubans of liberties and prosperity. And I hope that future generations won't look kindly to the figure of the former dictator of Cuba.
Let me get you to underline that point. Did you say you hope future generations will look kindly on his leadership?
Won't look kindly on his legacy.
Won't. Well, communist regimes fell, most notably Cuba's most important financial and ideological ally, the Soviet Union. Cuba and Fidel Castro carried on. How was that possible?
Oh, under extremely hardship. In the 1990s, it was called the special period, where people literally went hungry. For many years, approximately for 4 years after the fall of the Soviet Union. Cuba received approximately $100 billion from the Soviet Union. So there were severe adjustments in the 1990s until Hugo Chavez came to power in Venezuela, and he started providing Cuba with a healthy oil subsidy. At some point, at least until 2012, the subsidy that Cuba received from Venezuela equaled 20% of its GDP. So that's what sustained the island after the fall of the Soviet Union. Extreme hardship at the beginning, and then the help from the Venezuelan government.
And out of those subsidies from Venezuela and other South American countries, in return, Cuba provided health care and education to many of those other countries, and that was the payment. I suppose, in a way, Cuba's development of health care and education was almost a byproduct of the embargo.
Well, you don't need to enslave your population to have a nice education and health system. I'm from Costa Rica. We have socialized medicine like you do in Canada, and you don't need to imprison opponents, and you don't need to send people to the squad. Again, it is not a quid pro quo. The fact that Cuba has supposedly good healthcare and good education doesn't necessarily justify 50 years of dictatorship and 50 years of a Stalinist regime. When it comes to him providing educators and doctors to other countries, let's remember that they went under basically a slave system. The Cuban government will get paid for the work that these people were providing in other countries, and then the government will pay the workers in other countries with devalued pesos. So it was literally a system of enslavement that the Cuban government was practicing. These people were sent to other countries not because they chose to, but because they were sent to.
I want to point out President-elect Donald Trump calls for warmer U.S. relations with Russia and its authoritarian president, Vladimir Putin. Trump, however, opposes the United States warming relations with Cuba and the nation that its authoritarian president created. Why? Why do you think that is?
That's a big contradiction. You will have to ask Donald Trump about it. I'm all for opening up relations with Cuba. I'm all for reestablishing diplomatic relations. I'm all for lifting the embargo. I'm all for lifting the travel ban. I think that those measures were counterproductive and actually helped Fidel Castro to portray himself as a victim of U.S. imperialism and justify the dire state of the economy. That's why I think it was welcome news 2 years ago when President Obama announced that he was moving towards lifting the embargo, or at least normalizing relations with the island.
Juan Carlos Hidalgo with the Cato Institute speaking with us from Washington this morning. Mr. Hidalgo, thanks very much.
Good morning.